What's going on, everybody? Took a great setup this morning, the day after FOMC. Very clear longs, in my opinion. So I ended up taking a long trade and netted around $2,000 in the span of about 13 to 20 minutes. And as always, I just wanted to walk you through everything that I was looking at from my pre market analysis to my trade confirmations into my trade management and how I exited and so on and so forth. So let's get into it. So to start off with, yesterday the FOMC event was very highly anticipated due to the rate cuts and what was going to bring about from that event. And yesterday, just from a technical analysis standpoint, we had a move into this daily fair value gap right here that held, and then afterwards we ran to the upside back towards these previous all-time highs. So NQ was able to sweep internal liquidity, sell side liquidity into a higher time frame PD array, and then sustain value above it, and then move back to the upside. So coming into today, I wanted to see one the reaction at the all time highs to see if we start to just test it or fall back lower, or if we can sustain value above it going into the morning session today. And what I noticed was going into the into the morning session this morning is that we have a uh, lack of manipulation lower into this area of sell side liquidity from the Asia session. So the first thing that's on my mind is okay, we have a lack of manipulation into a low. So if I want to see longs, I'm going to be anticipating a New York reversal today because as we can see, there was no S&T during the London session between ES and NQ. So I'm expecting it to happen during the New York session. Now, the reason why I'm not bearish and targeting these relatively equal lows is because one, ES and NQ are both fairly correlated at the moment. They're both respecting higher time frame PD arrays, and there has been no significant manipulation higher first before going lower. This right here, this consolidation area right here, isn't a failure swing to me. So, in my eyes, this is just a rebalance lower into an area of liquidity before moving higher. So now that I have my thought process of wanting to see a New York reversal going into the open today, I want to wait for a sweep of sell side liquidity, so a manipulation in the opposing direction of the drawn liquidity before the real move into the actual buy side liquidity, and that can come in two different forms for me. Either NQ takes it and ES doesn't, and there's an S&T there, or ES doesn't take it, or ES takes it and NQ doesn't, and there's an S&T there. And around like 9:15, 9:30, we can see how much closer ES is to this Asia low than NQ is. So I'm already anticipating and preparing myself that there's probably going to be an S&T between ES and NQ where ES takes the lows and NQ doesn't. And that is an easier target because it's a kind of like a smaller run for NQ to get back to the highs. And then another thing to note is ES had these clean, relatively equal highs right here, whereas NQ kind of just fell off. But like I said, this is a consolidative range to me. That's not really a manipulation higher and then a fallback lower after testing all-time highs. So as we get into the market open, uh, NQ failed to reach the lows like I was anticipating, while ES took those lows, and then I was waiting for my entry model, which is an inversion fair value gap paired with a change in the state of delivery before entering into the market. So we had this move lower. Yeah, NQ fails the Asia lows again, and then we had the move higher right before 10 a.m. We had the, just to mark it out for you guys, the change in the state of delivery right here, and also a run on a previous bearish fair value gap, making this an inversion gap, a change in the state of delivery, a switch in order flow. So I entered into here right as I saw that um, the candle closure was going to be above a new change in the state of delivery, and then I had my stop loss below this candle right here, and we had a rebalance back into, now this is where my trade management comes in. We had a rebalance back into this area of changing the state of delivery, and also I can put out the 50% fib retracement of this impulsion move back up, this displacement back up after the inversion and changing the state of delivery. So that's what I was thinking during the trade, during this rebalance, because I could have got into like a fearful mindset of where like at market open we manipulated higher and then went lower, so this possibly could be a rebalance back into 50% of this change in the state of delivery. But the higher time frame order flow in my eyes is higher, so I'm not paying attention to anything that's going against my narrative, that's going against my bias, because that's when I'm going to start talking myself out of the trade. So I didn't want to move my stop loss until we got back to these 930 highs. Like I said, we rebalanced back to equilibrium of the range, and then ended up moving higher out of that, and ultimately ended up going back to the buy side liquidity area. I took one trade earlier in the week. It was a loss. I would take it again. This setup right here, same thing. It's the same framework that I look for every single day. The day after FOMC, at market open, everyone is panic selling after the large run up, but not knowing that it is into an area of liquidity, and there's an SMT right here. So these are just the things that I look for every single day in and day out. This was a result of around like a 2-hour trade, $2,000 in about 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to keep on repeating it over and over again. Simple framework, 3 lines, higher time frame narrative, manipulation in the opposing direction of the drawn liquidity, entry model of your inversion fair value gap, and changing the state of delivery. The model comes up 2, maybe 3 times a week, so you can know that it's not necessary to take a trade every single day. But when these opportunities do come up, they offer very nice rewards as long as you're trading in the direction of the higher time frame direction that the daily and weekly candles are going to be expanding to. So overall, this was a good trade. Going to see what happens tomorrow, see what sets up tomorrow. Like I said, the setup comes up around like 2 or 3 times a week. So I'm not forcing anything. I'm literally just only trading what's in front of me. And if the setup that is in front of me is within my system, I'm going to take it with confidence. I'm not going to hesitate on it, because I know from my data and from what I've studied how rewarding this is. So I hope you guys took this trade possibly and banked. But until then, I will talk to you guys next time, and good luck trading.